proud mom, and I also go by the Empress. And some people know me in real life. They call me Star, okay? I am going to proceed with I am going to proceed with reading Bible stories because my spirit guides instructed me to. But you guys are in for a treat. Before I finish going into the Bible stories, we are going to do a biblical tarot one card message. Maybe that's the story we need to read about or something like that, okay? But give me just a moment and I'll return shortly. Hi, one viewer. Don't forget to like the video, okay? Enjoy some energy that's positive and high vibrational. Always count on something or somebody to brainwash the children. It's always somebody trying to brainwash the children. Sometimes it's their own fathers. Lucky for me, my children are not subjected to the manipulation tactics that their fathers may have gotten away with had I stayed in low vibrational relationships or partnerships or situationships or marriages. You know, I'm just glad I got out of that. Let's get one card message in regards to Bible. This Bible story energy we getting into. So if you guys don't know, for like the last couple of days, I've been reading Bible stories out of a book. It's like the synopsis of the books in the Bible. Okay? You got the King of Wands. I already know that that has to do with Archangel Daniel. King David. 2 Samuel 7:9. The New International Version verse says, I have been with you wherever you have gone, and I've cut off all your enemies from before you. Now I will make your name great, like the names of the greatest men on earth. For some energy, ideally, that could represent a masculine female. For other energies, that can represent a literal military soldier. For others, that can represent an athlete, or it can represent a masculine that's handsome, or it can represent a low vibrational masculine that's not quite a bully, but he knows how to be bold yet impulsive. Sometimes his artistic talents lacked vision or purpose, and they speak out of arrogance and egotism. But they come off as bold and courageous most, majority of the time and whatnot. But I'm going to go ahead and get into this promised land. So I hope that these stories helps some low vibrational energies walk away from some very toxic souls that's going to be coming towards them in the future, the very near future. So promised land, Numbers 13, Deuteronomy 31 through 34. From his camp in the Paran Desert, Moses sent 12 men to spy out Canaan, the land which God had promised to the people of Israel. The men carefully explored the country, and after 40 days returned, bringing with them a handful of grapes, figs, and pomegranates. It is a rich country flowing with milk and honey, they told Moses and Aaron, but the people are strong and they live in great walled cities. we would never be able to overcome them. In spite of this report, Caleb from the tribe of Judah was eager to invade at once and take possession of the country, but the others who had been with him on the expedition were afraid. We would be defeated, they said, and to make their argument convincing, they pretended they had seen a race of giants in Canaan beside whom the Israelites would look like grasshoppers. For 40 years, the children of Israel continued to wander in the wilderness. In time, Aaron died, and Moses knew that he too would soon die. Yes. Okay, close my door back. He called Joshua, son of Nun, and said, I am old and will never reach Canaan. You must lead our people there. Be strong and of good heart. Do not be afraid, for God will be with you. Then Moses inscribed the law of God on 2 tablets of stone, for he knew that without his guidance, the Israelites would soon take to evil ways. The priests kept the tablets in a golden chest called the Ark of the Covenant, which had been made a holy resting place for the 10 Commandments. Having blessed his people, Moses went to the summit of Mount Pisgah. That is the name of the high school I graduated at. Moses went to the summit of Mount Pisgah, where God showed him the whole of the promised land, stretching from Gilead, Dan, Judah, in the distant sea, and the west to the southern valley of Jericho, city of palm trees. There Moses died and was buried, and the people wept for 30 days. Since his death, there has never been a prophet like him in Israel. He was a man who had the courage to defy Pharaoh and lead his people out of Egypt, a man who stood face to face with God. Now it goes into Joshua 2. Rahab and the spies. Joshua led his people to the river Jordan, which was all that divided them from the promised land. He sent 2 men as spies across the river and into the city of Jericho. There they were hidden in the house of a woman called Rahab. The king of Jericho had heard reports that spies were in the city, and he gave orders for every street and every house to be searched. When his officers came to Rahab's door, she, having hidden the 2 Israelites under some flax on her roof, swore that there was no one inside. The danger over, she said to the men, because I have saved your lives, you must swear by the Lord that no harm will come to any member of my family. We swear, they said. And it was agreed that Rahab should tie a scarlet thread to her windows so that the invaders would know not to attack her house. Then Rahab let the spies down by a rope, and they escaped into the night. Joshua 3:6, the Battle of Jericho. After the 2 messengers had returned from Jericho, they reported to Joshua, and he assembled all his people on the banks of the Jordan. Listen carefully to what I have to say. As soon as the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant put their feet in the water, the river will stop flowing. The waters coming from the source will cease, and a path of dry land will appear. On this, you will be able to cross safely to the other side. And it happened exactly as Joshua had described. The people left their tents and came down to the riverbank. The priests lifted up the ark and approached the water. At once the waters stopped and divided, and the priests walked to the middle of the riverbed. There they stood, holding the ark up high, while all of Joshua's people passed safely to the far side. The priests to die for Joshua, for he was an aspiring leader as Moses. His people both trusted him and feared his anger, for they knew that, like Moses, he was loved by God. So let this be a lesson for some people, okay? Let that be a lesson for people. They feared Joshua because they trusted him. Well, no, they didn't fear him. They trusted him and they feared his anger. They feared his anger and both trusted him because he was loved by God, just like Moses. Okay? Jericho was in a state of siege, the gates bolted shut against the Israelite army. The Lord said to Joshua, "Each day for 6 days, you and all your men shall walk once around the city walls. The ark shall be carried behind you, led by 7 priests holding trumpets made out of ram's horns. On the 7th day you shall circle the city 7 times. The priests shall blow their trumpets, and the people shout to the skies. Then will the walls of Jericho fall to the ground. All who live in the city will be killed, except for Rahab and her family and household. They shall be spared, because it was she who hid our messengers." And so it happened. Joshua warned his men not to make a sound for 6 days, but on the 7th day, as they walked for the 7th time around the city, Joshua said to his people, "Shout, for the Lord has given this city to you." And so the Israelites raised a great shout. The priests blew their trumpets, and the walls of Jericho fell to the ground. Every man, woman, and child in the city was killed. Only Rahab and those living in her house survived. Then it goes to Judges 6-7. That's when Gideon smashed that altar of Baal. The call of Gideon. The Israelites had a new and powerful enemy, the people of Midian. Midian, not Median, but Midian. So as soon as the grain was ready for harvest, the Midianites would attack, burning the wheat and slaughtering the animals. The Israelites had begun to worship other gods, but in their despair, they appealed to God for help. The Lord sent an angel to Gideon. "It is you who must save your people from this scourge," said the angel. Gideon, hot and tired from threshing the small amount. I'm screaming. Screaming! Stop playing on my TikTok. Gideon, hot and tired from threshing the small amount of wheat he had managed to hide, looked at the angel in astonishment. "But I am only a poor farmer," he said. "The Lord will be with you," the angel assured him. That night, in obedience to God's word, Gideon smashed the altar that had been bought. I said bolt. That's the bobblehead watching me because she says I read fast. But she could tell she just talking too much. It's not a compliment, it's her running her mouth. Tell her hush. Shit. She the one in class talking and distracting everybody. So at any rate, that night, in obedience to God's word, Gideon smashed the altar that had been built to the god Baal. In its place, he put up an altar to the Lord. The next morning, the Israelites gathered around the fallen altar. "Who has done this terrible thing?" they demanded. Soon it became known that Gideon was the man. "He must die," shouted the crowd. But Gideon's father said, "If Baal is a god, then let him take his own revenge." And to this, the people agreed. Gideon then gathered his forces and pitched camp by the spring of Harod. "If there are any among you who are afraid, let them go now," he commanded. At these words, over his army of 21,000 men turned from home. They turned for home. They about to turn from going home. So then God told him to take the remaining 10,000 men down to the spring and watch how they drank. God said to Gideon, "Those who cup the water in their hands keep with you, but those who put their faces into the water send away." At last, with a company of only 300, Gideon looked down on the Midianite army camped in the valley below. When darkness fell, he gave each of his men a trumpet made of ram's horn and a flaming torch covered by an earthenware jar. Silently, the army of Israelites surrounded the enemy cup, and at a signal from Gideon, blew their trumpets, smashed the jars to reveal the light from the torches, and shouted as loud as they could. Confused and terrified, the Midianites began fighting each other as they fled into the night. So Gideon won his victory without striking a single blow. Judges 11. Jephthah's daughter. Jephthah was the son of Gilead, but as he did not share the same mother as his brothers, they resented him and eventually turned him out of the house. telling him he was not a worthy member of the family. Knowing he would not be allowed to stay near them, Jephthah went to live in the land of Tob. Time passed, and the Ammonites declared war on the children of Israel. Having heard of his courage and skill as a soldier, the Israelites went to Jephthah and asked him to return. They begged him to be their general and lead them in a battle against the enemy. But I was turned away from my home, said Jephthah. Why do you come to me? I am no longer one of you. Eventually, however, they persuaded him, and he agreed to go back as commander of the army. First, he sent a messenger to the Ammonite king, demanding that he withdraw his troops from Canaan, but the king refused. So then Jephthah prayed to the Lord, "O God, if you will give me victory over the Ammonites, I will sacrifice to you whatever I first see on reaching home." With Jephthah as their leader, the Israelites easily defeated the enemy. Many Ammonites were killed and the rest ran for their lives. Jephthah arrived home where his only child, his daughter, came running out of the house to greet him. She was brightly dressed and danced around him, laughing and shaking her timbrel. But her father tore his clothes in grief and covered his face in his hands and sobbed. "You must keep your promise," she said. "The Lord has given you victory over the enemy, and it is right that you fulfill your side of the bargain." Hello, blue-eyed Texan. "But let me have a few weeks to prepare for what is to come." So for 2 months, the daughter wandered the mountains with her friends and wept for the life that she was about to leave. Then she returned to her father, and he sacrificed her according to the vow he had made. Judges 13 through 14, Samson and the lion. So for 40 years, the children of Israel had suffered at the hands of the Philistines, a fierce enemy from the lands near the sea. Then an angel appeared to an Israelite couple who long had been childless. "You will have a son who will win a great victory over the Philistines," the angel told them, "but you must be careful never to cut his hair." The angel then warned the woman, "While you are carrying the child, you must not touch wine or any strong drink, for your son will be a Nazarite and his life will be dedicated to God." Hi. Hello. Uh, Thanks. So the child was called Samson, and he grew tall and strong. One day, Samson said to his father, "Father, I have seen a beautiful Philistine woman at Timnah, and I want her for my wife." His parents were unhappy that he had chosen a Philistine. "There are many Hebrew women who would make you a good wife. Will you not look among them first?" Play that tune you just played again. No, I'm not single. I'm actually engaged. So when Samson's parents saw that he was determined, they did not stand in his way. Samson and his parents went to Timnah, and as they walked through the vineyards, a young lion leapt out at them. Thank you. As easily as if he were swatting a fly, Samson killed it, tearing it apart with his hands. This man killed the lion, then walked to Shadi house. Okay, you guys, I have to go on mommy mode. We'll pick back up on Samson and the lion at another time. Okay. All right, you guys. Bye.